Hey everyone, welcome to Real Knowledge Club Longevity Summit. Today we have a truly a fascinating guest, one of the thought leaders in the biohacking space, longevity space. I'm excited to introduce to you the guy who even surpassed like Brain Johnson, the quest for longevity, and he's been researching for like over 10 years, written like 8+ books. Imagine the world of possibility of living to like 150 to like 200 years. Is one of the greatest, biggest names in the world. He's the number 1%, the world's slowest aging man with 0.65 rate of aging, lowering the biological age by 10 years and becoming one of the greatest. And he's also one of the greatest keynote speakers. He recently spoke at the Mind Valley Summit. I came to know about him from AIWO Clinic from Chennai, India. And his integrity, transparency, simplicity inspires us. From today's summit interview, whatever you'll be able to learn is like cutting edge longevity things, proven health strategies so that you can live long, make a world a better place to live. I'm truly lucky and honored to have today Sim with us. Without any further delay, let's all welcome Sim from my bottom of my heart to the Real Knowledge Club virtual summit.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk with you.
Thank you, Sim. I'm so excited and also so grateful for thank you for taking your time and coming up here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Some, yeah. Sim, I'm so curious to know about your journey, right? Like, how did you come into like longevity biohacking? Can you tell us about your backstory?
Yeah, so I been always interested in health. Not always, but maybe like in the last years of high school, I started lifting weights and started paying attention to more fitness and health. And then I also started studying anthropology, which is a study of humans and culture, society, and archaeology, and all those other topics related to humans. And I got very interested in the idea of life extension and AI, or just science in general, the future of science, where humans will where science will take us in the future. And yeah, I was all at the same time also just researching about health and delving into biohacking. And over the course of maybe 1 or 2 years, I shift my focus more towards like longevity and trying to take care of my health in a preventive way. And the reason I got into the preventive health was my grandfather died to cancer when he was 36. So that was like very very young, and I didn't want to follow a similar path in terms of getting a chronic disease early in life. So I wanted to take care of my health so that I could at least not die in my 40s or something like that. And then now, yeah, I'm like just excited about the future prospect of life extension, if it will be possible. Like right now we don't know how far or how long humans will be able to live. But I'm excited in the trend that the average lifespan is going to be increasing, and how far it will be, yeah, depends a lot on a lot of other factors.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. Health is the ultimate wealth in life, right?
Mm.
And basically, from which place you are from? Which
I'm
part of the world?
I'm in Estonia. So
Estonia. Oh,
yeah,
wow, amazing. I think the Mind Valley Summit also happened right now from Estonia,
mm.
right? And I
Yeah,
saw
that's
like you
right.
were the speaker over there. That's amazing. And yep. And my next question to you, Sam, is like, what is your dream? Like, how many years like do you want to live?
Right. I think it would be nice to live across all 3 centuries. So I was born in the 20th century. I'm living in the 21st century, and maybe it would be nice to live until the 22nd century. So I would need to live to the age of 107 or 106 for that to happen, which is feasible and plausible. But yeah, that's kind of the minimal goal, to live across the 3 centuries. I think that would be pretty cool. And I mean, I don't think anyone wants to necessarily die. So I think most people don't want to live long because they think that it's associated with bad health and physical limitations and pain and suffering. So if you correct that with modern medicine, so you like improve the quality of life even into your 100 years of age, then I think many people wouldn't want to die either. Like they would, like I don't think the average person necessarily wants to die. They want to maintain this kind of semi-high quality of life, and after they lose it, then they get, you know, they lose their kind of desire to stay alive. So yeah, you know, if I'm able to maintain this higher quality of life, then you know, I could even prefer to live until like 120, 150. So yeah, who knows?
Absolutely, that's amazing. 150, that's a big number, right? My next question is like I saw like you were on the leaderboards, world's number one, world's slowest aging man with like 0.65 rate of aging. What does it take to be there, right? Like how exactly it is measured? I didn't even know something like this exists until like I met Peter like last week, where Peter was
Mm.
talking about living even to 150, 200 years is like possible. I was like, oh my God.
Right. So the test is called the Dunedin Pace test, and it measures your like biological speed of aging, or that's like the theory, and it ranges from, you know, 0.6 to 1, and I mean some people are even below 0.6, but the lower it is, the kind of slower the speed of aging, and the higher it is, the faster the speed of aging is. And you know, I wouldn't say that it's you know, definite marker of biological aging. It's like a relatively new one. We don't have a ton of data about it, and I don't think that it's you know, going to tell you that you're going to live super long if you have a low score, so to say. So it's just like an epigenetic marker of how your DNA methylation is positioned in a particular moment, which then correlates with a particular biological age. So I wouldn't say, yeah, that it's inherently like the best marker that we have. It's just we don't have anything else better at the moment. But you know, to get there, so I've just said generally follow like a healthy lifestyle. I exercise regularly. I maintain lower body fat percentages. I eat a relatively clean diet of mostly whole foods. I get enough sleep. I you know, take some supplements. I try not to get stressed, and try not to get overworked or burnout. So yeah, it kind of goes down to some of the like basics that control the speed of epigenetic aging. So the fundamentals that we pretty much know about, with maybe like a few like, okay, individual differences to certain foods or supplements. But yeah, there's also like a lot of unknowns about it. So for example, you know, you would imagine that being more strict with your lifestyle is going to get you a better score, so that you are, you know, never eating any junk food and you're exercising a lot and that kind of thing. So like, you know, Brian Johnson, for example, he has a very meticulous routine and kind of a like very strict routine. Everything is planned out, but he doesn't have like the best score. Whereas someone on Twitter I saw, they had a score of like 0.48 or something, and they said that they eat McDonald's. So it just kind of shows that there's a lot of unknowns about these tests as well. Maybe there's some genetic differences between people, that some people are just genetically predisposed to have a slower speed of aging, whereas others need to like put more effort in. And at the same time, you would the kind of logical conclusion then that being stricter with your diet and your lifestyle giving you better results isn't true either. So there's a lot of like kind of, there's always like a sweet spot for something. Too much of anything is bad, not enough of anything is also bad. So there, where's the sweet spot of just enough, and like moderation probably is the kind of a best place to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so amazing. And my next question is like, what is like your real age and like what is your biological age right now?
Yeah, so my chronological age is 29. I'm gonna be 30 in a few 2 months in September. So my biological age depends on like which test you've used. So like I said, there's no gold standard test. Some of these tests use different markers, or like different let's say algorithms. But you know, consistently I've been with a biological age of 16. I've also have 20, and my organ age is like 17 across 11 organ systems. My fitness age is also like 19. Yeah, I guess I'm around maybe 10 years younger than my
Wow.
chronological age. I would say so.
Wow, wow, so amazing. I actually came to know about this topic like 3 years back when I interviewed like Naveen Jain, who is also
Mm,
into the gut and microbiome, where he was telling his age is like 63, his real age, but his biological age is like 53 or like 45, right? Like 10, 15 years younger. I was like,
mm,
oh my God.
mhm.
Right. Amazing. And Sim, like a lot of people from India are like watching this, and can you tell us about like what exactly is like biohacking, all these things, because not everybody is like aware about this.
Yeah, biohacking, depends how you define it. Some people would say that just taking supplements and looking at the sunlight and taking a sauna or exercising is biohacking, which I guess to a certain extent could be true. Depends how you define it. Others would say that biohacking is gene editing and some sort of stem cell therapies and peptides and injecting yourself with hormones or something like that. So they're all like biohacking. Essentially, there's just like a degree or I guess like a range of things that could be under that definition. I wouldn't call exercise biohacking. I wouldn't call eating a healthy diet biohacking. I would say that biohacking is the art and science of controlling your physiology. So you're you know having a certain goal. Let's say your goal is, okay, my vitamin D is low, I want to increase it, so I'm going to take a vitamin D supplement, I'm going to track my vitamin D levels with a blood test and see how it changes, and then adjust my behavior and supplementation accordingly. So the key word here is, I guess, is intent. So if you're trying to increase your VO2 max, you follow a specific workout protocol and a recovery protocol to increase that, and you track it. So like it has to involve some like a tangible biomarker that you track and a goal that you have to reach with that biomarker, and then you're like doing certain routines or habits, practices, activities that get you that result. So if your goal is longevity, you want to live 150, then you obviously need to track your not even biological age, but just tracking your certain biomarkers that could increase the risk of a lot of these chronic diseases that will kill you. So like heart disease and kidney disease and diabetes, they are one of the leading causes of death worldwide, and you can easily prevent them by just keeping track of your blood markers and other biomarkers and maintaining them in the optimal zone. So if you always have normal blood sugar levels and normal triglycerides and normal body mass and fat mass, then it's virtually impossible for you to get type 2 diabetes. So type 2 diabetes will result from chronically elevated blood sugar levels and high levels of triglycerides, and certain like some other factors can also contribute to it. But it's if you always have normal blood sugar levels and normal lipids, then it's like 99% chance you're not getting diabetes. Whereas if you have high blood sugar levels pretty consistently and regularly, then the likelihood that you will get diabetes is also much higher. And if you don't track it, then you don't know where you're at. So you need to kind of pay attention to these biomarkers that mediate the increased risk of a particular chronic disease. So for heart disease, it's going to be certain lipids, inflammation, diabetes again, kidney disease. You need to look at the kidney function. So there's very few things that change rapidly in the body, and if you monitor your health and these biomarkers on a regular basis, then you can see the trajectory. So you can see, okay, my blood sugar is slowly creeping up, I need to do something about it, otherwise I'm going to get diabetes. Or my kidney function is declining, I need to do something about it, or else I'm going to get kidney disease. So yeah, you can already course correct if you catch it early enough. But if you kind of don't track and you don't pay attention to this, then after 2 years you're already with quite severe kidney dysfunction or quite severe diabetes. So the longer you wait, or the longer you're unaware of these biomarkers, then the harder it's going to be to change it. and the earlier you detect certain things, then the easier it's going to be to change. And obviously the best, most effective approach is preventive health. So prevent from you prevent your blood sugar from going bad in the first place.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And I truly believe this is the education what should be taught in schools and colleges. The traditional education system don't even talk about all these things. Do you agree with it?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's you know s- I never learned about food or like calories and macros at school. I never learned about, I mean, some things are useful in school, like exercise and stuff, but you're not really, I guess, you're not, most people don't exercise outside of a school when they're young. So there needs to be something about like longevity education for sure. That would be recommended, in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so my next question is like, what is longevity? I was speaking since last week even to a couple of doctors also. I was telling them why it is so important to have that abundance mindset, longevity mindset. We can live for 150 to 200 years with the exponential technology. But they were telling like, how is it possible, right? The maximum people lived is like only 100 years. 75 years is the average life expectancy, right?
Mm.
Should we go about and how to have that right mindset?
Mm. Yeah. So longevity is a game of like more patience and consistency. You don't want to like burn out with like the healthy habits or exercise. So you need to find what is like sustainable for you, and what you can do for pretty much decades. Because yeah, longevity is a game of decades and hundreds of years, not months or weeks, and not even like years. So rather than looking at it, okay, I'm gonna just try to get fit for summer. I'm gonna try to lose a few kilograms of weight before the summer so I can be on the beach without a shirt. Instead of having this kind of mindset, you need to have, okay, how do I maintain lean and low body fat percentage year round all the time, so that also have like abs, or like good body fat percentage even in the winter time. And the same with like exercise. Instead of me signing up for a marathon and then training for it and then not doing anything after that, instead of that, you need to, okay, how do I implement physical activity into my everyday life? And regular physical activity is the most powerful strategy for longevity right now that we know about. And the key word here is like consistency and regularity. It doesn't even have to be that you're like an athlete, or you don't even have to be particularly good at the exercise, or you don't have to have like you know um, amazing sports performance. It's more about, yeah, just doing some form of movement, physical activity, that like just walking or hiking and playing some sports, doing a little bit of calisthenics, push-ups, maybe a little bit of running and swimming and those kind of things. Just cardio and strength exercise. Just doing something like that already gives you most of the benefits. So you don't even need to be like a professional or very good at the exercise to reap the benefits from that. And another thing I want to add
Yeah.
here is the idea of longevity intelligence. So this is one of the topics I talked about at the Mind Valley, and it describes just understanding your own health risk factors and understanding your genetic risks, so that you could unlock your potential to live a long time. Because like I said, if you don't track your biomarkers, then you're going to get diabetes. You might get diabetes or heart disease and die in your 60s, which happens to a lot of people because they're not aware of these biomarkers, and they're kind of careless with their lifestyle. But if you have the mindset of, I'm going to, if I want to live longer, then I need to like increase my awareness and intelligence about this. Then you need to increase your like, I guess, your tracking awareness, and you need to start tracking it as well. Quite not like like a crazy basis, but once a year at least, to look at your some of the biomarkers.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so important, having that longevity, intelligence mindset. And
Mm,
my next question is like, how can people in India optimize their diet plans and having the most cost-effective way? When I was talking about longevity, one of the community members were telling longevity is for mostly for the top 1% people or like billionaires who are having like lot of millions of dollars. Like they
mm.
are investing so much on research development. They have the world's best doctors, nutritionists, right? Is it like the true, or like what does it cost, right, for an average person also to live long? What is the expense needed per year?
Mm. Yeah, so there are obviously, if you have a lot of money, then you can hire a lot of doctors, and they can prescribe you some medications and do some therapies or consultation, etc. But money alone isn't going to get you to longevity, because you still need to put in the work with some exercise, and you need to practice self-control with your diet, for example. So no amount of money will prevent you from becoming overweight and obese. So a lot of the billionaires who don't take care of themselves, like they are overweight, and they don't exercise necessarily. Of course, there are a few exceptions to that, if the person is like with enough of longevity intelligence. But if their longevity intelligence is low, then they're gonna still stay overweight even if they're very rich. So technically longevity can be free, or of course you need to eat something. But I'm saying, like, a lot of the things that we know about right now are free. So exercise is free pretty much. uh, Maybe like a gym
True.
membership is required, but even then you can do calisthenics and push-ups everywhere. And food, obviously you need to pay for the food, but you don't need like any like a fancy superfood diet to be healthy. Most of it comes down to just the calorie intake, that you're not overweight and obese. And this just requires mostly self-control as well. In most of, even in like India, and in the rest of the world, food like insecurity is becoming less prevalent. So just we already start to have the problem of too many calories. So people are just gaining weight because there's so much food around, and that food is also hyper caloric. So there's just too many calories in that food. So a lot of fats and sugars added into that. So just replacing some of that can make it very easy to lose weight. So in India, I've been in India. A lot of Indians have like a genetic predisposition to store the fat more easily around the liver. So it's called this visceral fat. So that's why you get like a belly. Like you might be very skinny on your arms, but you have like a belly. So that's called this thin on the outside, fat on the inside phenotype. So you're having a lot of fat around the organs. And the reason Indians have a higher prevalence of that is because of mostly their genetic predisposition. But that genetic predisposition, yeah, is just geared towards that you're more able to store the fat around the liver. And the biggest foods that kind of store the fat around the liver are just these high fat, high sugar foods. And a lot of the street foods might be like, cooked in a lot of oils, and the deep fried foods and those kind of things. That's where a lot of the calories come from. And that is also the type of food that specifically stores the fat around the liver and the organs. So you want to eat mostly like uh, some less oily or less fattier types of dishes. So Indian traditional dishes is also actually quite fatty. Like they have a lot of butter and a lot of this cream and things like that. So that's generally like not a best thing for the liver fat. And a lot of the health problems also come from the liver fat. So the liver fat drives inflammation and diabetes. So I've also looked at a lot of blood work from Indians. So most of them have near or diabetes or near diabetes, like blood sugar and high inflammation. So that's because of the visceral fat around the organs. So for that, just eating vegetables, fruits are okay. Fish, beans, legumes, dairy foods themselves are okay, but reducing the intake of like high fat foods, like these seed oils that are used in frying. I don't think they're using olive oil for the frying, so olive oil is healthy. But the other like fried foods are just fried in a lot of these canola oil and sunflower oil, and butter and those kind of things. So like, and sticking more towards like leaner types of proteins, like leaner meats and fish and beans and legumes, and eating vegetables. Rice is okay, and potatoes are okay. But yeah, just the combination of high fat, high sugar at the same time is going to be the biggest determinant of the liver fat issues. And lastly, like, sleep is also technically free. If you have obviously like a shift work where you need to be awake during the night, then that can be an issue, but you can counteract it to a certain extent with the other healthy lifestyle habits. But yes, sleeping like 7 to 8 hours is the best for the lowest risk of mortality. And there are, like, of course, some supplements that people like to take and could take, but most of the supplements don't really work. There are only like a few handful of the supplements that might have benefits, and even then the supplements are going to give you only like 5% of the results. The 80% of the results come from staying lean and with low body fat, exercising, sleeping enough, and eating like a relatively healthy diet.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And how much time should one dedicate every day for like doing exercise? Is it like 30 minutes or like 1 hour?
Mm.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it depends how frequently you exercise. So if you exercise every day, then you don't need to exercise probably any longer than 45 minutes. If you exercise only 3 times a week, then it would be recommended to exercise at least an hour in that session, and maybe an hour and a half. So yeah, it depends how frequently you exercise. Um, you know, I much rather like to look at it about like weekly minutes. So the research suggests that for vigorous intensity exercise, so that will be lifting weights and doing some sort of sprinting and this interval exercise, uh, the best or lowest mortality risk is found at 150 to 200 minutes per week. So that's like 3 times a week for 45 minutes, or 3 times a week for 60 minutes. Like that's the optimal for resistance training and high intensity exercise. For other like cardio, so running and moderate intensity exercise, then the benefits of that kind of increase linearly. So the more you do, the lower the risk. So you can even do 900 minutes of moderate activity, which would be like an hour or two every day, and that also includes like walking at a brisk speed. So if you're doing something like that is moderate, that you can feel that your heart rate is slightly elevated, but you're not like gasping for air, that kind of activity. So the more you do that, the better it is. So walking and hiking and maybe lifting something something at your house, or cleaning, doing slow cardio, cycling, swimming, yoga, those are here. So the more you do that, the better it is. But with high intensity exercise, more isn't necessarily better. So the sweet spot is 3 times a week for 45 to 60 minutes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And as you were telling, the 80-20 rule, like 80%, right, like gives the majority results, only 5% supplements. Now, what are the most important components, right? If it were like 3 or 5 pillars, if everybody make sure that they do it right, there is high chances for someone to live for like even 100, 150, or like even 200 years.
Yeah, so right now we don't have anything that would take us to 150. The longest living person who has lived died at the age of 122. So there's a lot of time ahead of us for us to reach 150. And even right now, the projections are that by the end of this century, someone will live to the age of 130. But yeah, the likelihood of us reaching 150 with the current knowledge is not there. So like maybe there will be in like 10 years, we'll have some AI breakthrough or some other medical breakthrough that, yes, like catapults our life expectancy to 150 or 200. But yeah, like it's hard to say, okay, how do you live to the age of 150, because no one has ever done it, and we don't know how to do it with our current knowledge. I guess the key here is then that you just need to stay alive for as long as possible, to wait for these medical breakthroughs to emerge. So if you die next year, then you're dying before this kind of bottleneck is surpassed. But if you stay alive until the year of 2050, for example, so 25 years more, then maybe then we will have something. And that, so you can expect that the trajectory of life expectancy is going like this gradually. Right now is 2024, 2030, 2040, and 2050, and then after 2050 it goes exponentially higher. So maybe it's going to happen like that, but for that to happen you need to stay alive until 2050. And I'm saying 2050 kind of randomly because we don't know if it is going to be 2050 or if it's going to be 2098. Maybe it's going to take us another 100 years for us to reach this longevity escape velocity, as it's called, or it's going to take us 5 years. So we don't know. So yeah, that's it. So the best advice here is, if you want to live to the age of 150, it's just to not die right now and to not die in the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love that. And so the next question is like, if you have lost all your money, name, connection, and all your knowledge, right? If you're just having whatever knowledge and skill set you have, and you are living in India, like how do you go about? Imagine you are again like 27 years old or like 25 years old. What will be your action steps? Like how will you go about in the next 30 days in building that momentum in your body and everything?
You mean like with my health?
Yes, yes, health. Completely somebody who doesn't know about biohacking, longevity, nothing, right? And
Mhm.
after they are just now, you yourself, like again, if you go like 25, 27 years, what action plan you are going to take?
Yeah, I would just, like I mentioned, the things, the fundamentals. So I would start some sort of exercise plan. I would go for a run. I would clean up my diet. I would start to eat like these mostly whole food diet, and avoid this hyper mostly fried foods is the kind of biggest culprit. And I would avoid yeah, maybe sugary foods. I would eat fruits as my only sugar, and I would add some sort of exercise, cardio, maybe buy a gym membership, and or calisthenics, something like that. And yeah, I would just get, so like the initial goal would be to, like, you don't even need to track your biomarkers initially. um, you would just need to, okay, I'm gonna first get to like 10% body fat. I'm gonna get to like a 1 kilometer run time of 4 minutes at least. So then you're like already at a very high level of fitness as well. And I'm gonna try to get 10 pull-ups. I'm gonna try to do 100 push-ups in one go. So that, like, these very basic initial goals to set for. And because if you're less than that, so you're 20% body fat, then it doesn't matter what you do. You need to first lose the body fat to see like actual improvements in your health. You're not going to be, as a man, for women it's a bit different. Women can be healthy with 20% body fat, but for men, if you're 20% body fat, then you're not probably going to be in optimal health. And just losing the weight will give you a lot of improvements to your biomarkers. So you don't even need to track your biomarkers initially if you're overweight. Just losing the weight will improve all the biomarkers. And doing some form of exercise will also improve the biomarkers. So I would just start doing that, and reach that goal of maybe 10% body fat. And then kind of maybe do a blood test to see, okay, what are the things that I need to focus on a bit more diligently. And of course, in India, you can, it's a bit harder to find like healthier food, I would imagine, or because it's not that common to have like fruits and vegetables everywhere. Because if there's a lot of like street food, I would imagine, or it depends on where you're at. Yeah, if you're in a big city, it's probably like a bit easier. If you're in a rural area, then it might be a bit harder, but you can still pull it off with what you've got, with the enough of this portion sizes, controlling the portion sizes, and just exercising wherever you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And what advice or like plan like you are going to tell best foods for eat for like vegetarians? Because many of the audience who are watching this are like mostly like vegetarians or like vegans also, right? What advice you will tell them? Because most of the doctors tell eat fish, eat meat, eat chicken. It has like lot of proteins, but that's true. But some of them don't even eat non-veg, right? Like how can they get that protein intake and all those things?
Mm. For vegetarians, it's still possible to get enough protein, and be in good health. I guess for vegans, the one thing that they would need is like a B12 supplement, a vitamin B12, because they're not getting it from their diet, and prolonged B12 deficiency is quite harmful. So you can just fix that with supplementation. Even like omnivores are very commonly deficient in B12 because the food itself just has less B12 nowadays. So B12 supplementation is going to be probably the most important thing for a vegetarian or a vegan diet. The second thing, for protein, you can eat beans and legumes. If you can eat fish, then that's great. That will pretty much solve most of the protein issue. If you are fully vegan, then it's going to be somewhat harder to get enough protein from beans unless you are eating a lot of them. So in that case, the easiest thing to do is probably to take like a protein powder or supplement. So like some plant-based protein powder, like pea protein is generally the best. Plant-based protein powder, pea protein or hemp protein powder, and you can just get all the protein you need essentially from that. And lastly, an important point for vegetarians and vegans is also just to not eat these very fried foods, because although it's vegan, for example, vegan vegan donuts are still unhealthy, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter if it's a vegan, it can make you still gain weight and make you still diabetic if you overeat it. So that goes for every diet. But a lot of like vegan junk food may mask itself as health food, but in reality, it's still junk food, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. Taking like lot of rich vegetable kind of food and having the right supplements and making sure that like we stick to the routine. No much junk food, right? And now,
Mm.
if you see in India, like a lot of people eat like lot of junk food, outside food, right? Like you must have heard masala puri, pani puri, vada pav, like bhaji, bonda, all those things. And most of this oil is being cooked by palm oil. Palm oil is very cheap, right? Like, and that's what
Mm.
most people try to sell. What advice like you want to tell them, what kind of oil should they basically use and which is really good for the body?
Hmm. Yeah, I think like a smart idea just to use less oil overall. So to the street food is obviously not going to use the cheapest oils, and if you eat it every once in a while, then it's fine. At your home, like I don't think it's like you don't need to necessarily fry your foods with a lot of oils either. So the healthiest oil would be maybe olive oil or avocado oil, but they're more expensive. um, I guess ghee is also a healthier alternative to palm oil, but it's also just high in calories. So you don't want to be putting like a lot of oils and fats to your meals, in my opinion, because like I said, Indians also have the predisposition to store liver fat, and just added oils and fats are a big reason why the liver fat accumulates. So I prefer to like cook the food either in the oven or boil it or steam it. Maybe I like rarely fry the food actually, but if I do, then I'm using like olive oil, or I'm using olive oil mostly, but you can also use like ghee as an alternative.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And India is like diabetic capital of the world. Too many people eat like rice, right? Like the white rice. What rice like you will recommend people to eat? Brown rice, white rice?
Mm. Yeah, well, I don't think that the rice is the problem, because Japanese people also eat rice and they have very healthy people. So it's more about the portion sizes and also what else are you eating with the rice. So the rice is in India just cooked in a different way. In Japan, they eat just boiled rice, but in India, they eat like fried rice with the ghee and stuff like that, and the creams and butter and stuff. So that's the reason why the rice gives them diabetes. It's the fat that is the cooked inside or cooked with the rice, and white rice is generally the healthiest actually as well, because it has the least of these heavy metals. So the brown rice, yes, it has more fiber, it's lower glycemic, but it also contains a significant amount of arsenic, which is this heavy metal. And white rice is it's not like a health food per se, but it's not unhealthy either. It's just a good source of carbohydrates and easy to digest, and can be have some small amount of fiber. But if you're exercising, then white rice is very good.
Absolutely.
And you just don't want to cook it with a lot of butter and oils. You want to just eat the boiled rice and cooked rice.
Right. And I believe like steamed food like idli, I think you know idli, right? Idli is like
Mm.
really good for the body.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes. And one more question, what I have is like a lot of people eat like sugar, right? Everywhere you go in India, there is always like sweets, too much of sweets, too much of chocolates. Even dentists will tell don't eat too many sweets, like your tooth will decay. But still
Mm.
people keep eating. And I recently saw some documentary on YouTube which was telling sugar is like the slow poison, right? What do you recommend? Should we take like sugar or not? When I met Peter and Peter's uh, personal assistant, he told he will never even touch sugar. I was like
Mhm.
so shocked. How is it even possible?
Right. Well, sugar is not as harmful as people like to think. It's, so it's just glucose and fructose, and both of those molecules are quite readily or like easily used by the body for energy, and they don't cause like that much collateral damage. The issue is, yeah, the dose. So how much sugar are you eating? So just 1 gram of sugar isn't going to be harmful, if that makes sense. But 100 grams of sugar per day probably will cause some harm, and so it depends on the dose, and depends on the person who's eating it. So if an athlete eats sugar, then they're just gonna use it for glycogen storage and use it for the exercise. But if a sedentary overweight person is eating sugar, then yeah, they're gonna get high blood sugar levels and worsen their metabolic health with that. So I don't think it's, sugar isn't like health food. Obviously, it's readily available fuel for the muscles mostly, and I wouldn't recommend eating sugar deliberately. And just by avoiding most of the, because it's not that people are eating sugar out of the bag. They're not eating spoonfuls of sugar mostly. They're eating it from some other foods that contain sugar, like donuts or pancakes or ice cream, or the junk food contains the sugar. But the junk food also is high in calories and high in fats. So it's not only the sugar that is causing the problem. It's just the ultra processed junk food is the main problem that causes diabetes and obesity. So yeah, just want to minimize this ultra processed food. High fat, high sugar foods are usually the worst. And I wouldn't recommend putting table sugar into your tea or coffee anyway. But the sugar alone isn't like the bad guy.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's 100% true, right? Like we should take sugar in like limited thing. Too much of anything is like too bad, and sugar is good
Right.
for like glucose, all those things, right?
Mm.
And my next question is like, what are your top anti-aging advice? Like I see you, like you're looking so fit, so strong, handsome, and if I see even like billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Naveen Jain, they look like so young, like an athlete, right? Like a WWF champion. They look like so strong, right? What it takes for someone to be like that?
Right. Yeah, well, with Jeff Bezos, at least he's taking a lot of, like, I don't know a lot of, but he's taking some sort of hormone replacement therapy. So he's taking testosterone and maybe growth hormone or something else. So that's why he looks maybe more, or he had this transformation where he was a kind of skinny computer guy, and now he was more muscular. So that he started exercising probably, and he's taking some form of this hormone replacement therapy, and he's probably eating like a healthy diet, and doing the same fundamentals as we talked about. Maybe he
Yep.
takes some supplements probably, and he might get some, I guess, peptides or something. I don't know, but he's definitely on this TRT and hormones. With other people, I don't know what they do. So, you know, but or at least Elon Musk, he's not that healthy, at least by the looks of it, or he doesn't appear to do any exercise or something like that. Maybe he does, I don't know, but he's never, like, talked about it. I do think that he uses this Ozempic, or he lost a little of weight, which is this weight loss drug that reduces appetite and makes you undereat. So that's why he lost a little bit of weight recently, perhaps. And yeah, I don't think he's doing anything else. I don't think he's doing any peptides or hormones, probably, because he hasn't shown that much interest in this biohacking online. But yeah, I mean, most of the billionaires or rich people who do look healthy or who are ill healthy, they're just doing the same things. They might just have like a personal doctor who prescribes them certain medicines or maybe some hormones or some other like therapies. But they're still probably doing the fundamentals as well, because if they're not doing the fundamentals, then they probably wouldn't look like they're healthy, if that makes sense. Just doing the
Absolutely.
TRT or stem cells or something like that isn't going to really transform you. They can help a little bit. They can give you like 5 to 10% more results, but yeah. I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
and even then, like I've seen, so I don't know how Jeff Bezos is like, in his 50s, I guess, but I've seen 70-year-olds who are more jacked than him, and they're probably natural, without testosterone. So it's not that the Jeff Bezos injecting testosterone is making him healthier than the other person. Uh, it can be like a little bit of like a, I guess, a convenience for him to do that, but it's not automatically giving him better results, because someone else at his age who's not doing testosterone could get even better results, because they have a more solid, more time to do like a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's true, right? Like we doing the natural things, the natural exercises, going out in the walk, sunlight, having the good sleep, having the right nutrients. It itself will solve majority of things instead of taking other extra things of that.
Mm.
And my next question is like, how can people avoid like chronic diseases, like example, like cancer or like all this disease once if it comes, or like diabetic sugar, right? Once if they get in their life, throughout their life, they will have it. How to cut them in the root cause itself? Because most of these diseases, until 3 years, 5 years, we don't even come to know whether something exists inside our body.
Hmm. Yeah, so like earlier I mentioned that tracking the biomarkers is the most important step. So you need to just track some of the biomarkers and to see, okay, where you're at and what's your trajectory. So you see, okay, you do a blood test today, you see, oh, my blood sugar is a bit elevated, then you need to do some steps to reduce it. Usually it just involves cutting down on this junk food and processed foods, reducing maybe carbohydrate intake slightly, exercising a bit more, sleeping, losing weight. That would generally improve all the biomarkers and reduce the risk of all the chronic diseases as well. So exercise is the most powerful thing that we know about, and maintaining like a lean, healthy body composition is also the most important. Like, two of the most important things are the exercise and staying lean. And yeah, then it comes down to just tracking some of the biomarkers. With cancer, it's a bit more complicated. There's no like reliable biomarkers for cancer. Maybe a few of them are, but yeah, it's less. So you can be very healthy and still get cancer. Kind of, it's a bit more unpredictable disease, and can be caused by some other genetic as well as environmental factors that we don't necessarily know about. It's still kind of a mystery cancer right now. Whereas with heart disease, we pretty much know what causes it. We pretty much know how to prevent it. We pretty much know how to track it. Track its progression, and we pretty much know how to like treat it once you are diagnosed with it, and how to reduce the risk of getting future cardiac events quite a lot. So yeah, depends on the type of disease. With Alzheimer's and neurodegeneration, then again, what's good for the heart is good for the brain as well, and exercise and staying lean is going to be good for the brain as well. With Alzheimer's specifically, it's found that just cognitive ability and education, learning new skills, learning new languages is very good for the brain and increases this cognitive reserve, and that is what protects against neurodegeneration as well. So using your brain quite a lot.
Absolutely. precaution is like better than cure, right? Like we have to be knowing what's happening, the biomarkers, and all these things. It's amazing. And my next question is like lifestyle habits and for the teeth plague, right? Like many people, whatever they eat, there is so much of dirt and plague sitting in the teeth.
Mm.
How do you recommend, like, what should they go about in order to have the good oral microbiome?
Mhm. Yeah, so usually the good diet will maintain a good oral microbiome and oral health, but there are like a few, like too much acidity in the mouth can be a problem. So too much soda, so these acidic beverages, orange juice as well can be harmful for that side. So just eating like a healthy diet that has less sugar and less of these added fats, and specifically certain like leafy green vegetables and omega 3s and those kind of things have been found to benefit the oral microbiome as well. Now, washing your teeth or brushing your teeth is also effective, obviously, especially if you have like a more sugary diet, for example. But if you're eating a very healthy diet, then the brushing the teeth can only like clean the teeth, and it's not going to inherently protect
And
against the plaque that much. It's gonna just keep the teeth clean. And flossing is quite useful as well. So just using the floss to clean the between the teeth, that can reach places where you can't reach with a toothbrush, and remove some of the bacteria. Certain mouthwashes, so like the Listerine and these chemical mouthwashes aren't good for the microbiome. They actually wipe out the beneficial bacteria in the mouth, and they're linked to increased risk of diabetes and neurodegeneration because of that. So some more natural mouthwashes with maybe coconut oil or some essential oils like rosemary and thyme and those kind of things are also going to be very like antibacterial to the mouth.
absolutely. Do you also recommend to brush the teeth like 2 times a day, once in the morning and once in the night?
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like maybe even like after every meal would be even better, but yeah, 2 times at least is good enough.
Absolutely. Love that. My next question is like the foods optimizing the gut lining clear any infection. When I was interviewing Naveen Jain, he was telling the second brain is the gut, right? After the main brain, the gut. Everything starts from your gut, all right? And one of the great scientists, I think, hippopotamus, I forgot what's his name. Even he was telling everything. If you keep your gut healthy, like you can keep your body healthy, right?
Mhm.
How should we take care of our gut? And do you recommend cleaning of gut also like every like 1 week or like something? Or like also do you recommend intimate fasting or something so that the intestines, everything stay rest for like 16 hours like that?
Mhm. Um, yeah, like exercise and a good diet are gonna help with the microbiome, so the bacteria in your mouth. For the gut lining, then yeah, you need to eat mostly like protein and collagen and maybe glutamine that you get from protein that helps with repairing the gut lining or maintaining its integrity. But the more important thing is to like avoid the foods that damage the gut lining. So that's also like individual. Some people are allergic to gluten or dairy or eggs or whatever it is, that then can promote intestinal permeability. So you need to be kind of just aware of, okay, what kind of foods are causing you gut problems and gut issues. Fiber intake is pretty universally linked to better gut health. So higher fiber intake feeds the microbiome and promotes these beneficial bacteria. And you need like some different types of fibers, ideally. So like different colorful vegetables, different colorful fruits and berries. So the more diverse fiber intake you have, the better it is for the microbiome. And even like significantly higher fiber intake than what's recommended appears to be better for most people for their gut health. And fiber has many other benefits on the lipids and blood sugar management. So yeah, it's good to have like plenty of fiber in your diet. So eating fruits, berries, vegetables, tubers, and beans, legumes. as well.
Absolutely. Love that. And when it comes down to juices, like, do you recommend like coconut juice and like fruit juices? People tell like you should eat fruits instead of fruit juice, right?
Hmm. I think, yeah, like eating fruit is probably a better idea. So, like, orange juice has some interesting health effects on the microbiome, that it can reduce this endotoxin, this bad bacteria in the gut. But yeah, like too much orange juice is kind of bad for the teeth, and maybe you're getting too much sugar from that. So yeah, it's maybe like a glass of orange juice per day, like whole food orange juice, so like made from whole oranges, not the kind of a concentrated sugar orange juice. That could be maybe beneficial for the gut, and for other health benefits as well, like it can lower cholesterol, I guess, as well. But yeah, the other fruit juices I wouldn't probably drink. Maybe with the exception, yeah, like once a day you have some sort of a juice uh, for your daily sugar intake. But ideally, you should want to eat the fruits. They're gonna be like better for the metabolic health, and better for like the satiety perspective as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love that. And does a relationship partner play an important role in like longevity?
Yeah, there is, a lot of evidence that social relationships are important for longevity, and people who are reporting loneliness and isolation, they have a higher risk of heart disease and mortality as well, and mental health, so worse mental health as well. So yeah, it's important to have, friends, family, and a partner. But the key here is like the happiness and satisfaction. So if you're, in a marriage that you feel unhappy at, or you have domestic violence or whatever it is, then that's obviously going to be bad for your longevity. So you need to have a partner that you're happy with, and who you can, yeah, ideally do similar things in terms of health. Like it would be nice if your partner, can exercise with you and eat healthy with you as well. Because if they're sabotaging your progress, then it's gonna be much harder. But yeah,
Absolutely. Love that. And do you track any of the equipments? Do you wear any like rings or like watches to track your sleep, how many steps you walk, and to track various things on day-to-day basis?
I do track my sleep quite regularly. I measure my blood markers once or twice a year, maybe three times, and I track my heart rate during exercise. So I have this chest strap for heart rate zones, and that's pretty much it. I don't track a lot of things on a daily basis. I'm mostly focusing on, yeah, like the annual blood markers, and a few things here and there for like better, smarter training, so you can just train smarter with a heart rate monitor.
Absolutely love that. Do you wear like Aura ring or something, or like you just track through your Apple iWatch
Yeah, I
and
have like the Ultra Human Ring, which I think is an Indian company even, and Aura Ring I've used as well. I have the Whoop. I have
yeah,
some.
many people use that Oop, right? It's one of the great things. Many cricketers, celebrities use it. It has like a yearly subscription, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, the type of device isn't maybe that important. It's more about, yeah, like if you are tracking it at all, and if you're like, making changes based on it.
Yes, because I used to wear like normal Honor watch, where I used to track every day. Am I walking like 10,000 steps, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sim, I'm so excited and curious to know. Like, I see like you are coming to you are organizing the longevity trip, right? Which you are doing in Chennai at AIW. Can you tell us more about it? Because all the people who are watching this, if they want to learn more in depth from you and world's best, India's best doctors and everything, how they can come, what are its benefits?
Yeah, so I'm coming next week to Chennai. I'm partnered with this Ivo clinic, and they have just a very comprehensive program, 7-day program for locals. Is also actually like 2-day program as well, to do like all the health tests, biomarkers, VO2 max test, DEXA scan, MRI, all these other tests there at this 5-star hotel, the Leela Palace, and yeah, I'm just it's super exciting and interesting to go there and get very specific information about your health, and at the same time be able to consult with doctors as well who know how to interpret the test results. So yeah, like you're really upscaling your longevity intelligence when you're at this kind of a facility.
Right, right. And my next question is like, is it the most advanced clinic? I was just checking on Google and I was talking to like a lot of people, right? Whatever they're doing at AIWO, as you are into this space, right? And I have seen like this kind of test in America, it costs like around $30,000, $40,000. And India, it's around like $6,000, around 5.2, 5.3 lakhs, right? With all this 180 plus test. And what one more question what I have is like, not every Indian can afford like 5.2 lakhs for like 7 days. But someone, is it like, who are the kind of people who can attend and who should attend? Is it for the people who are at least making $100,000 and more income, or like having like a BMW or like Mercedes, who can afford like a car of so much so that they can afford 5% of it to the health and for longevity?
Right, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like I said, inherently necessary to track all the biomarkers. You want to look at only a few of them. So the program is priced in a way because it includes everything, and it also includes the accommodation and the food and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if someone is more financially limited, then they can just go. I mean, I've seen a lot of these other local clinics as well in India where you can do blood tests, and you can measure 100 biomarkers with much less money, so maybe like only $100 or something like that. So yeah, I guess if it's worth it depends on, yeah, how much are you making and how much are you interested in investing in your health. So I
Right.
wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't spend 6,000 for this trip if I wasn't making, yeah, like at least over 100,000 per year.
Absolutely. But for someone who is making $100,000, like you will recommend them to come to this longevity summit, right?
Mm. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be there as well, and you know, if anyone is interested, I'm bringing a lot of people from the outside world as
Wow.
well, from other countries with me. So most people, yeah, like they could do it in the States for 3 times more the money, but they could come to India and get it much cheaper. So that's why they're coming to Ivo to do it there with me.
Absolutely, absolutely love that. Guys, everyone who is watching this, as even Sim told, right? If you are absolutely don't have any money, don't come here, right? Make sure that like you implement whatever Sim was telling about how to go about what to do. But if you're making more than $100,000 or like more than 83 lakhs, right? And your health is on your top priority, then like you need to check out this thing, right? And it was absolutely amazing. And Sim, for all the people who are watching this, what are the books like you will recommend, right? Like, what is your top three favorite books, right? So that they can read if they want to prioritize their health and make a world a better place to live.
Yeah, so I'm writing my own or publishing my own book as well right now. It's called The Longevity Leap. It'll be available in September, and you can get it
Yes.
at thelongevityleap.com is where you can pre-order it. And number two, maybe
Tell
uh,
us about your book also, Longevity Leap, right? What are the things which has been put up there so that people can go and grab it on Amazon or like your website, which we are going to put in the description.
yeah, it's 24 chapters, and it walks you through all the chronic diseases, what's causing them, what can help with them, and what's the biomarkers to track. I'll also walk through the aspect of biological aging and what affects that. I'll walk you through exercise, sleep, diet, and I'm outlining, yeah, what's the evidence? What does the evidence say about the optimal way to exercise, the optimal diet, the optimal biomarker ranges, and like a few of the supplements as well that have benefits. and it includes over 8,000 references. So it's a very, up to date, or like a very thorough in terms of the scientific accuracy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love that. And that's the one book. And do you recommend any other books apart from Longevity Leap?
Um, I think for Indians, another book, The Obesity Fix, can also be very useful. So it talks about weight loss, and it's very practical and easy to understand. It's much shorter as well, and it just walks you through exercise, diet, and the supplements and other things that help with weight loss. It's on Amazon. And lastly, maybe the book Win is also kind of interesting for fitness. So that's about optimizing physical performance, so muscle growth, fitness, and that kind of thing. That's also on
Absolutely.
Amazon.
That's so amazing. And Sam, how can people reach out to you if they want to learn more about whatever you're doing, right? If they want to invite you, have the consulting session, keynote, or if they want to collaborate with you, how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm Siim Land on all the platforms, and my website is siimland.com.
Absolutely. That's so amazing. Thank you so much, Sim, for taking your super valuable time for the last 1 hour, sharing your incredible decades of years of experience with all of us at the Real Knowledge Club Longevity Summit. I'm truly blessed, right? Any last words you want to tell to everyone who is watching this before we conclude?
Um, yeah, I think just, I guess, yeah, like I said, like longevity is the game of decades. So you just need to stay consistent with this, because if you're a super fit and athlete in your 20s, but you fall off the wagon in your 40s and you start gaining weight, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you were an athlete. What matters, how long you live, matters on like how fit you are in your 60s and 70s and 80s. And you could start only exercising in your 50s, but then you have a lot of time to you have a lot of like you need to catch up a lot. So that's why if you start early and you maintain it, then that's the best scenario of you know extending your health span and lifespan.
Absolutely. Love that. Thank you so much once again, Sim, for sharing your wisdom, and everyone for watching this. Do put us do share what's your top three learnings in the comment section. Do send it to your friend, to your family, your brother, sister. Let's make a world a better place to live, as we are living in the most abundant world, right? The longevity is one of the key most important things. And yep, thank you everyone for watching the Real Knowledge Club Summit. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.